Recording in progress.
Full meeting special session 6 p.m. Thursday, October the 23rd, 2025 in the Administration Building Room Board, 613B West Zavala Street, Crystal City, Texas. And at this time, can you?
601, roll call, 601, roll call, Ray Espinosa,
Here.
Sammy Houston, Luis Mata,
Here.
Victor Bonilla III, Gabriel Espinosa, Vince Martinez,
Here.
and Peggy Young.
Here.
Do you know any of those three called that they were not going to be here
Sammy did.
Monday?
Sammy did.
Did not? What about Bonilla?
Not to my knowledge. Anna said that Mr. Houston had said that he could not make it.
Okay. Still have a forum, Mr. Mata. And, maybe. Okay, number 3, we're gonna have a moment of reflection. Number 4, public comments for agenda items. There's none. Okay. Number 5, informational discussion. At this time, we're going to hear the presentation by Mr. Tijerina, Financial Consulting LLC, regarding a plan of finance to discuss the anticipated financial terms of the proposal bond and the possible adoption of a permanent order. Mr. Tijerina couldn't be with us tonight. His father is ill in the hospital, but we have one of his attorneys that will be making the presentation.
Mr. Lestrade?
Yes. Does everyone have a presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Great. I know we have some extras if anyone has them.
Is this in our packet?
It's not printed out for us.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought Anna had put it in your packet.
Sorry about that.
I don't think any of us have it.
Yes.
But I have it.
I need, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, good evening. Yes, Thomas Lestrade from Tijerina Financial Consulting. Again, Robert sent his best and apologizes for not being able to be here. But tonight we're going to cover what the preliminary plan of finance looks like for what would be a series of refunding bonds to potentially be issued in 2026, the first part of 2026. And then your bond counsel, Mr. Juan here, will discuss the parameters order and what all has gone into that, which essentially gives the financing team the authority to move forward with getting started on all the processes to do the financing. And then we'll obviously wait for interest rates to be advantageous enough to maximize savings for the district. So
Really what we're doing tonight, I mean, is you're gonna give us a presentation and through the board will decide, but this is like, so that if there's interest are going down, we'll be ready for.
exactly right. We'll be ready to move as quickly as possible.
Have to come back.
And to come back
And that kind of
for a board meeting date. You know, we want to be able to try to time the market as best we can. Again, with the goal of maximizing the interest savings for the district with the.
Sorry, I mean, go ahead.
Just to get started, I've got here on the first slide, a look at your existing INS. So that's all your debt paid for with the INS tax rate. You have 5 series outstanding from 2014 through 2021. It's 32,775,000 outstanding. The total payoff right now on that is 42 million change, about 42.1 million. I've highlighted in green there the 2 series. There's the unlimited tax refunding bond series 2015 an unlimited tax school building bond series 2015 that we are looking to refund with this upcoming transaction. So the first one is outstanding in an amount of about 3.3 million. The second one is about 20 million outstanding. And so those are both currently callable, which means they can be refunded with a tax exempt bond. And so
Can you repeat that?
they're both currently callable. If you look at the column there with the call date, those are terms set out when you originally sell the bond. So in 2015, when you sold those bonds, they were sold with a call date of February 15th, 2025. And so up until that point, you could not refinance them with a tax exempt bond. You would have to take them out with a taxable advance refunding bond. And so now that they have been callable since February, but interest rates have not been in a place where there's been positive savings, the market has begun to move in your favor. And so now we're looking at the possibility of being able to move here within the next 6 months on the refunding transaction. On those specific two series outstanding. The 2021 and both the 2021s, I should say, are non-callable. So they are not eligible to be refunded. And then below that is your maintenance and operations debt. That debt is paid for with the M&O tax rate and other M&O funding. That's outstanding in an amount of about 1.87 million. And so those are not up for discussion, but just wanted to include that there for y'all. Any questions so far? The next slide after that is a look at what current market rates. So I ran this analysis on the 21st. So it's fairly fresh. What current market rates look like with the refunding of those two series. Now with bonds, each maturity of the bond has its own interest rate. So there's not one set flat interest rate for each maturity of the bond. So you can see there in that outstanding interest rates column in that middle section, you have outstanding interest rates from about 3.125% through 5%. And again, so each maturity has its own interest rate. And so each maturity, when we look at a refunding, we look at whether that maturity generates positive or negative savings. Just like with a mortgage, if you have a lower interest rate on a particular maturity, it's harder to refinance because you already have a low interest rate. And so depending on the market, some maturities generate positive savings and others don't. So right now, if we were to refund this today, we would refund 11.7 million with a refunding bond amount of about 11 million. We would refund coupons of 3.125% through 5% for an NPV savings of about 320,000 and 2.71% there. Off to the left is a look at what the prior debt service is. So that's the debt service on the refunded bonds. The column to the right of that is the refunding debt service, so the new principal and interest on the refunding bond. The third column is the gross savings, and then the fourth column is the net present value savings. The savings in 27 and 30 and 31 are negative. That is because in 2021, the district issued a taxable Series 2021 refunding, which refunded the 27, 31, and 32 maturities on these 2015 bonds. So now we have no bonds to refund in those years. And so those are interest-only payment years. And so due to prevailing interest rates in the market right now, the rates we are getting are a little bit higher, which is resulting in a slightly higher interest cost in those years. But overall, again, as of the 21st, you're looking at gross savings to the district of about $365,000. And so as of right now, we would not move on the transaction because we want to be north of 3% on a net present value savings basis, and we'd like to at least be double the cost of issuance on a dollar basis for the district. And so if anyone has any questions on this, I'm happy to answer, but if not, I'll look at kind of what we're hoping the market will do for us in the next 6 months to where we can, again, move forward with this transaction for the district.
So you'll only move forward if the savings is greater than 3%?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that's also in the parameters order as well.
And does that savings, is that 3%? I mean, I know it costs money to issue these bonds, right?
Yes, sir.
So does that 3% include that cost as well?
It does, yes, sir. Yeah, so essentially the formula for it is what is the amount of refunded bonds? 11.715 million. We divide about 317,000 the NPV savings by the refunded bond amount to arrive at the savings percentage. But yes, sir, it does include the financing fees, which are paid for out of bond proceeds, not by the district funds.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, on the next slide is essentially what would it take for us to get to a good spot to save the district a good amount of money, meet our targets, again, north of 3%, be double at least, 2x at least, the cost of issuance on the bonds, the new refunding bonds. And that's about a 30 basis point or 0.3% movement in the market. Really, since October the 15th, our bond market that we track and these bonds price off of has done nothing but go steadily down. And so it's actually moving even over the past several days since I ran the analysis in your favor. So that's all good signs. With the movement of the market, again, about 30 basis points, we would be able to add more maturities from those two Series 2015s to the refunding. They don't work now, but they would work with lower borrowing rates, about 30 basis points less. And so you'll see here the Series 2015, we actually increased the refunded amount to $18,870,000 and refunding maturities 2028 through 2040. The Series 2015, I believe, stayed the same, yes, and we're refunding maturities 2032 through 2036. So you can see here with that market movement, we increased the amount of refunded bonds. It goes from $11,715,000 to $21,445,000. The refunding par, so the new Series 2026 refunding bond would be issued in an amount about $20.5 million. And the savings increased to about $806,000 and 3.76% on a net present value basis. On a gross basis, so what is it? Future value, principal and interest savings to the district. It's just shy of around $1 million, $975,000. Interest savings for the district and then therefore the taxpayer by executing this refunding. Anything the market does beyond 30 basis points is just more savings to the district and the taxpayer. And so we won't necessarily move the market. We think the market, we see it continuing to move. We're talking with the underwriters, our other partners on the transaction, and they're confident that we could wait a little bit longer to get maximized savings. We would certainly talk with the district and potentially wait to, again, ideally achieve the maximum savings for the district. So that's a lot of information, I know. I should have mentioned, I'm sorry, but it's about an average annual savings of $65,000 per year, with an overall savings of about $975,000, with a 30 basis point decrease in the market. Any questions on those two slides?
Extended payment, I guess it extended 4 years?
So by adding some more maturities to the refunding with the market movement, that does extend. What we do is we match every year that there's a bond to refund, we would have a maturity that matched it in the refunding bond. Okay. We would not extend the maturity. So if you all are familiar with the PSF guarantee program for the state, it's essentially a bond insurance program that's a $1,500 application. We submit some items to TEA, they review the application, and they provide the PSF guarantee on your bonds, which imparts a AAA rating on the bond. So in order to qualify for that, you have to demonstrate that the refunding generates positive NPV savings and does not extend the maturity of the refunded bonds. And so we would certainly not extend it because it's very important for this transaction to maximize the savings that we get that AAA rating on the bonds. The next slide is going to be a little bit difficult to read, I guess, but essentially it's a lot of the same information from the previous slide, looking at what the refunding would look like if the market moved 30 basis points in our favor. That column E is the same refunding bond debt service that you saw on the previous page. Column F is the same refunded, so the Series 2015 bond debt service you saw on the previous page. And then column H represents what is your new total debt service requirement. So you can see from column D, you go from about $45,782,000 to $44,511,000. That's just an estimate, again, based on kind of current market rates, what the refunding looked like as of a couple of days ago, less 30 basis points. We did not project any future growth in your value. You can see in column B, we took your fiscal year 26 values, about 1.5 billion, left it flat, and you can see your current year tax rate, 0.2479, would be the highest projected tax rate, assuming no growth in your value. So your tax rate would only decline From there, it would, we project a slight increase in those years where there's the DIS savings. But again, that is totally dependent on what the values are in the district at the time. Overall, you're looking at, again, about $1 million and, well, $975,000 in gross debt service savings.
Savings.
Yes, sir. Savings to the district, savings to the taxpayer, which again, it's a very good opportunity and one that by passing this parameters order, you would allow us the authority to kind of get the ball rolling, monitor the market conditions, and then be ready to move quickly whenever we can strike, I guess, and maximize savings for the district. So the next slide is a preliminary, again, look at the timetable for the transaction. This isn't a perfect world. The market just keeps moving in our favor. Everything looks great. We don't have to wait around for the market to get where we need it to be. We're obviously meeting tonight, October the 23rd. We'll submit the PSF application to TEA by the end of this month, so it'll be up for consideration here quickly. Once we get the approval on that, that would be marketed to investors so that they know the bonds have received that bond insurance from the state of Texas that guarantees the bonds. We would do a couple turns of what's known as a preliminary official statement. That's essentially an offering document with financial information about the district and a bunch of other information related to the bonds that investors would look at when they're looking at whether they'd like to invest in these bonds. And then again, preliminary, we would look to price the bonds sometime in early January, and then about 30 days later is when we would close the bonds. And that's when that money would be sent to pay off the Series 2015 bonds. So you'd essentially be rolling up those two Series 2015 bonds into one singular Series 2026 with lower overall principal and interest payments. And again, very much preliminary. It's totally dependent on the market, but this is what, again, in an ideal world, you're looking at about 3 to 4 months of work to get this done. And so, again, we can start essentially tomorrow on getting all of the necessary documents prepared, gathering all the financial information, working with the rest of the working group, who we describe on the next slide, to get the transaction to a point where we can be ready to move whenever we can maximize those savings.
Are there any deadlines for when the PSF application has to be submitted to TA?
Not with a refunding. With a new money bond, there is a deadline for the end of the month for it to be considered in the next round, the next month. If you get it in by the end of the month, it's considered in the next month, and you get your determination, your approval letter in the next month. With a refunding bond, they're not subject to that consideration deadline. And so we did a similar presentation and parameters order at Rio Hondo and Kingsville, and they both already received we did those meetings earlier this month, and they both already received their PSF approval. And so we, on our end, we submit the application fee, we submit all the necessary documentation, and then when the bonds close, part of the bond funds will be used. Nothing that will hurt paying off the bonds, but part of the issuance funds will be used to reimburse the $1,500 application fee.
And is that PSF, is it automatically approved, or, I mean?
It's not automatically approved. What we need to submit with it is a preliminary savings schedule, again, demonstrating that the refunding is going to generate positive savings and not extend the maturity of the bonds. Preliminary maturity schedule for the new refunding bonds. We have to answer several questions. We have to identify members of the working group, members of the district that would be included on the emails to and from TEA. But I have not personally had one that's been denied. I've been doing this almost 10 years. So as long as everything looks in order, and we've actually been in contact with, his name is Jim Moore, he's the financial analyst who reviews the applications, to ask him specific questions about, hey, if we have a DIS savings in certain years due to interest difference, is that going to affect the ability to get PSF? It did not. We had an instance at Kingsville where there was a negative year and they received their approval. And so we fully anticipate that the district would receive approval. And then again, we would go to the rating agency with that approval, and they would issue their rating based on the PSF guarantee on the bonds. Any more questions on that one? I think that's the last slide here. This is a look at the proposed working group. I included on the far right also an estimate of cost of issuance. I'll just go through the role and then the firm first, and then we can talk about potential cost of issuance. The issuer obviously is yourself, the District Crystal City ISD, financial advisor, T Arena Financial Consulting, bond counsel, Escamilla and Ponick, underwriters. 3 of them proposed right now, Hilltop Securities, FHN Financial, PNC Capital Markets. And I want to stress that including more underwriters does not increase the cost to the district. They simply split what would be the total cost of having just one underwriter. But by including more of different sizes and market participation, we get access to more diverse investors. And essentially it can help market the transaction, get more investor interest in the transaction. And just like anything else in life, the more people that are interested in investing in the bonds, the actual lower rate we can get for the district, because if they all are interested in that investment, we can actually go to them and say, hey, we'd like to lower the rate at the time of pricing. And so by accessing more investors, that actually does provide a benefit to the district. And again, the proposed split on that would be 60% to Hilltop Securities as the senior manager, and then 20% and 20% to FHN and PNC respectively. Underwriters Council is essentially their version of bond counsel. They advise the underwriters on all legal matters. That's up for consideration, and the underwriters would propose a firm. So that is still to be determined. The escrow and paying agent is BOKF. They would hold the money in escrow until it's paid off, used to pay off the bonds. They would also be paying agents, so they would be the ones sending the district invoices for the new future bond payments to get the money to the bondholders. Verification agent is essentially someone that takes a look at the escrow from the final numbers and verifies that the money that we have in the escrow is sufficient to pay off the refunded bonds. So it's simply a double check on the math of the transaction to make sure that when we close the bonds, the amount that goes into escrow is sufficient to make the payment on the refunded bonds. The rating agency we would use would be S&P. They previously rated the district before. Bond insurance, again, is the PSF bond guarantee program. And then there are a couple other miscellaneous fees. And really the only other one not included is a printer, which is someone that would print any hard copies of the official statement and then electronically distribute it to the market and other working group members. Estimated cost of issuance, and again, this is based on the preliminary amount of about $20.5 million, $20,475,000. Financial advisor, based on the contract that we had, I think up for consideration a month or 2 ago. I wasn't at that meeting, but our fee is approximately $120,000, about 0.5% of the transaction. Bond counsel is about $56,000. Underwriter is, call it about $120,000 as well. Again, all of this is preliminary to be determined throughout the transaction. We won't have final numbers until we do the pricing and the bond par amount is set.
So it can go higher?
If you issue more bonds, it could go higher, but we wouldn't move on the transaction if the bond amount was going higher, if that makes sense. This is again based off of a 30 basis point move. If it continues lower than that, the bond amount right there at the bottom, the 20.475 million, would actually go down. And so most of these are based on the size of the bond. They're kind of a tiered structure fee. And so if the bond amount goes down, then the cost of issuance would also come down as well. Underwriters counsel is something that the underwriter proposes on a transaction of this size. Would probably be about $15,000. Escrow and paying agent, typically they charge about $2,500 for escrow and about $500 for paying agent. Verification agent, we work with the arbitrage group frequently, and their usual fee is about $2,500. The rating agency fee is normally about $25,000 on a transaction of this size. Again, the $1,500 PSF program, that's the cost to submit the application and get the approval. And then other fees, we would structure in some contingency in case something came up and we needed a little bit of extra money to pay someone due to a shortfall in their estimate, whatever it may be. We'd just like to get that in there. Any leftover contingency is sent back to the district at closing. It doesn't go to any working group member. Anything that is above and beyond what is invoiced by one of these working group members is returned to the district to be deposited in the debt service fund. So you don't have to, we're not going to build in a bunch of contingency and then split it up amongst ourselves as an extra little bonus. It goes back to the district. So wanted to stress that. Any questions on any of this information?
That amount is taken out of the savings, correct? Out of the,
So if you look at the amount, we don't, so I have to go back, but looking at a refunded par amount of $21,445,000 and a refunding bond amount of $20,475,000, so we're issuing less bonds than we're refunding. The difference is made up with premium, which is essentially just the market is willing to pay more than $1 per bond because of the safe nature of municipal bonds, again, with the backing of the permanent school fund program. And so our fees will actually be paid out of the premium, not the bond amount, if that makes sense. If you look, there's a difference between the refunded bond amount and refunding par amount of about $1 million. So that difference is paying our fees and also helping with the savings. So there is, it will affect the savings in that sense that more premium won't be applied to the savings, but it does not cost the taxpayers more because the bond amount is what they pay principal and interest on, not the premium. If that makes sense.
Mr. Carina, I mean,
No problem.
do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the next agenda item.
Yeah, the next
is an action item is the actual order to, for y'all to consider whether you want to move forward or not, and I can explain the parameters, explain what the law is, and all of those different things. But my presentation is
it's nice.
hopefully pretty straightforward. This is pretty, a lot of complicated information.
Mr. Velasquez,
Good, sir.
based on your experience, I mean,
I like the savings, I like to save the taxpayers some money. I'm very much in favor of this. We've done some before, and it's always worked out for us. I know the gentleman that runs the office, known him for a number of years. I understand his drug addict position as well. We're very comfortable with the presentation, the projection that they have, and the guarantee that they won't sell unless we achieve significant savings.
And all of the information week over week, what the market's doing, what the savings are doing, we'll make sure that we're communicating that with the district so that they can continue to communicate that with y'all. Again, our goal, serving as a fiduciary to y'all, is not to do a transaction just to do a transaction. It's, again, we want to maximize the savings for y'all. And so we're going into this with that in mind and that being the main goal. And the other partners in the working group, including the underwriters, are obviously aware that our goal in the transaction is to get the best result for the district, which in a transaction of this type is to maximize. So at the day of sale is when we would come back next to present the results of that sale. So we would have all of this information finalized, so you would be able to have that information handy and digest that and put it out to the community, things like that.
Quick question, just for my purposes, to learn a little bit more. What's the difference between tax refunding and refinancing? Is there a difference?
In our language, we say a bond refunding because we're issuing a new refunding bond, but essentially it is a refinancing. You're taking old loans and refinancing them with a new bond at a lower rate.
I had asked that a while back and I was just, okay, it's the same thing. They told me no at first and now, yeah, so it's very, I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's interesting, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Peggy, do you have any questions? Vince?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going now to B, action item, considering possible approval of an order authorizing the insurance sale and delivery of the District Unlimited Tax refunding bond, levying, and continue direct annual Valerian tax, the payment of the bonds, authorizing and authorize representatives to approve the amounts, interest rate, prices, and terms therefore of certain other agreements, procedures, and provisions related to and approving other matters incidents to therefore. Were you gonna,
Yes.
So at this point, we would like to ask Mr. Aguilera from Escamilla Ponic to come present to the board the parameters order. Mr. Aguilera?
okay,
Right, and I always start off at Juan Aguilera for the record, and we are the district's bond attorneys. So we've been working with the district for many, many years, and we appreciate the ability to be able to continue working with you all. Mr. Board and Ms. Leon, Superintendent. So what we have done, and I always start off with apologizing for the long agenda language, but that is something we want to try to follow and try to be as clear as we can. What we have done is prepared an order, and in essence, the district has done, and we've done one or two refundings that we've done with the district, that we use this type of a financing, which the board will now consider the adoption of what we call a parameters order. The law was changed several years ago to where now school districts, cities, counties, when they have funds that are outstanding and you want to refinance them, you're able to adopt a parameters order. And as you know, as I think maybe one of the things you can gather from the presentation that Mr. Lestraps made is that all of these finances are pretty much market driven. So the market goes out, the interest rates start going up, there's not going to be any savings, it's not going to happen. So it's the legislature recognized that, realized that, and said, for refundings, when you're going to consider refinances, you can go ahead and adopt a parameters order. And that way, if for whatever reason the market is just right, and you're able to maximize your savings, then you can go ahead and move forward, and we'll be able to say, we're selling the bonds, and that's the end of that. So you are approving for the sale to happen at a later time, provided that certain parameters are met. And I'll read you what the parameters are. So the order, as provided by law, authorizes a representative of the district to be able to, and if you adopt this order, you're authorizing these individuals to be able to act on your behalf, to be able to finalize and sell the bonds, and so, approve the signature and provide a signature to approve the bonds. And if the parameters that we have established for this particular financing with the help of your financials advisors is that, and also your staff, is that we're looking, the amount of the bonds in the future to be considered can only be an amount not to exceed $24,110,000. That's correct, right?
Yes, so that includes all eligible maturities that could possibly be refunded. Again, some of them don't work, but we always want to set the parameter to be the maximum amount that you have available to refund. Because if for whatever reason the market moves so drastically that we can now include them, we don't want to be limited by having not included them today.
Exactly. So what we have now is we have an amount, we've set a ceiling of $24,110,000. And I don't know, do y'all have the order that y'all?
Yes.
So if you look on page 3 of the order that I have, section 1, second paragraph, you'll see there that we have in there towards the middle of the paragraph, we have that the principal amount may not exceed $24,110,000. The other thing, as Mr. Lestraps mentioned, is that we are looking for a net present value savings and net of expenses. After you pay your expenses, you have to have a minimum present value savings of at least 3%. And that the interest rate, the net effective interest rate cannot be more than 6.5% on the bonds. So those are the parameters that you establish with this particular order. Also, as noted at the beginning of that second paragraph in section 1, you're saying that the board president or the superintendent can then be able to, are going to be the authorized representatives, and they can be able to act on behalf of the board if these parameters are met. So what will happen is that your financial advisor, along with your staff, will be monitoring, and they'll be working on these finances. And as soon as they know that we can be able to achieve the savings and the taxpayer savings that will happen, then they will come in and make a recommendation, and they'll say, okay, here's what we got, here's what we can be able to do. And based on that recommendation, then your staff and Ms. Briones, and of course, she'll have discussions with you all. She'll say, okay, I think we recommend that now is the time to go ahead and move forward. We will then prepare, once they tell us that, yes, this looks good, we will prepare, it's like a 3-page approval certificate. And in there, we will have all the interest rates, all the payments that have to be made, all of that will be included in that document, so that then we're now going to be able to move forward and with the approval. Again, if you approve this order, you're then authorizing the superintendent or the board president to be able to act on your behalf and be able to move fast and be able to get the financing accomplished and the savings realized. So that's what we have in place. The last thing I wanted to mention is, and it's also towards the very end of that second paragraph on section 1, that is on page 3, it says that this delegation of authority to sell bonds as provided herein will cease 6 months from the adoption of this order. So this order, again, if it's your pleasure to approve, is only good for 6 months. It's not going to be forever. So it's only good for 6 months, and if the financing of the savings are not going to be there within 6 months, then that's the end of this particular order that would have, and then if it happens, and it's happened to me in the past, if it happens, for example, let's say that on the 7th month, things start looking better again, and then we want to consider a refinancing at that time, we will have to come back again and present you another order and start all over again. So again, this is good for 6 months, and only 6 months that you're given that authority to be able to move forward. Again, as I mentioned, this is a refinancing. It's a financing that is not new to the district. And again, it's something that we've done in the past, and something that we see a lot of school districts are using right now. Currently, I know in working with Mr. Tijerina, Mr. Lestraps, and their company, we are working, considering right now 3 financings with some area school districts here. Yesterday, we closed one for Comal for $180 million refunding, and earlier we did one for $260 million for San Antonio ISD. So the market is starting to provide this type of savings that the districts are not considering and moving forward with these things. Again, your financial advisors, they do a great job, and they will make sure that the savings are there, but also you can be rest assured that unless the parameters that are set are not realized, then they know that they cannot move forward. And legally, they're not authorized to be able to move forward unless these parameters are met. And I know one of the questions I had in one of the school districts that we represent was saying, well, what happens if the interest rates go up? Well, if the interest rates go up, and Mr. Lestraps will tell you, then the savings is not going to be there. So the interest rate and the net present value savings, 3%, are kind of working, they work to kind of together. So, you know, I think, but the bottom line is that what we're going to be looking at is the net present value savings has to be 3%. Hopefully will be more.
Sure.
And I know they're going to be working real hard to try to get you more savings than just 3%. So again, we've listed, I know that Thomas told you, we listed in page 1 and page 2 the candidates that we have. We have, as per their instructions, listed every single financing I'm sorry, every single maturity that's out there, some of these may qualify, they may not qualify. Again, the goal is to be able to get that savings over here, and if one of these doesn't make any sense, it's gonna affect the savings, so they're not gonna get done. But for right now, it makes sense to go ahead and say, this is what's out, this is what's owed, go out there and give us the best deal with whatever candidates are available. So, Mr. Espinosa, if it's the pleasure of the board, a motion to adopt the order as presented, would be in order.
Any more questions from anybody? Your recommendation, Ms. Runes?
The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the parameters order as presented.
Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mata, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by, Mr. Martinez. Questions, concerns? Not, all in favor? Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, Mr. Tejerina.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Thomas.
And I'm glad that I was able to make it last time, and I know when you all did the tax notes, I wasn't able to go, come here, but thank you for allowing me at that time to be able to do it by Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
today you surprise us by walking.
Try to make these things unless something comes up, you know, and so, yeah, no, it's important because, and it's also self-serving because you don't get to see me that often, you know, and sometimes you say, well, who's the bond attorney? So it's, for me, it makes sense, and for our firm, and I know that Robert and Thomas are real good about showing up, just to, and to say hello. And to let you know we're still working for you guys.
Oh,
We
yeah.
appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go, now to, item 2, discussion action to approve the, donation by Adrian Gallegos for the, rewiring of the audio system at the, Javelina Stadium, Ms. Briones.
Yes, I am on page 104 of your packet. This is a donation that we are bringing forth to you, speakers, the rewiring of the audio system at Javelina Stadium. And again, it's an action item for us to be able to receive the equipment and the work.
It was very, very kind of him.
Yes.
So he did the whole pressure box, my understanding, or, I mean, fixed?
No,
They haven't done it yet, sir. They haven't done it yet, sir. But
But what is it that they're gonna do?
they want to rewire fix the wiring and then also add some speakers. They're basically repairing some of our old speakers and repurposing them. But they're donating whatever.
My understanding that, the old speaker's gonna be there, be fixed, so when baseball season
Yes, sir.
comes around,
Yes, sir.
I
we
mean,
can shift.
Yes, sir. And that work's been done. It was done by our maintenance department. They removed those speakers and then moved it, yeah. But, they're gonna come in and do the final work on it so that everything's functional.
Very nice.
that's good, I mean, recommendation, Ms.
The
Runes?
recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the donation by Adrian Gallegos for the rewiring of the audio system at the Javelina Stadium.
You have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mata, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Martinez, questions, concerns, if not, all in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Number 3, discussion action to approve the, contract between Crystal City ISD and McNally for the, consulting services.
So this is a continuation of the LSG, and so we asked Ms. McAnally to put together a proposed contract. Previously, she was working under TA's umbrella. This is moving forward. And so the contract will not be covered by TA, so we would have to pay. So what I've asked her to do is to create a menu. These are not, it's not at all what we have to do, it's as needed. And so what I asked her to do is just to give us a rate of her hourly charge. And then based on the work the board is doing that, that month or that week or, whatever the time frame is, then we would call on her services. And so the contract that you all have has a very specific limit up to 13,000, not to exceed that. I don't think we're going to need that. At the last Team of 8, she did present to us a series of next steps that we still have to complete. And so for the purpose of completing that work, we would like to continue working with her as we keep moving the district forward. So the contract is, you should have a copy of the contract. It is not to exceed $13,000, and it's going to be for the fiscal year. So, our work is going to be very strategic. So it's the cadence of meeting with her will not be as frequent as we have been meeting with her while she was still under TA.
Coronas, on this work that you will do with us,
Yes, sir.
will she still be reporting to TA?
Yes, until TA releases us,
Until
yes.
TA releases?
Yes.
Thank you.
That $13,000 is for the year, fiscal year?
And you said we might not need everything here or,
Right, so what I asked her to do is just give me a menu of, okay, so for this service, what would you charge? So that as we do the work, then I will know, we need an hour here, we need her to be here, half day in person, full day, or we can do the work remotely, so.
It's only as needed, right?
It's as needed, it's as needed to complete that work that we approved during the Team of 8.
so with TA, we still have some work to do for them to release us, or it was not a year and a half that we had to be,
Correct, and because we had gaps in between the different coaches, we still are not at 18 months.
so if the other one would have stayed probably,
If we had continued throughout, we would probably be almost close to the end.
but he left us in about 2 or 3 months without, yeah. So now she's gonna be reporting.
Right now, she's going to be working as a contractor,
Yeah, but reporting to TA,
as needed.
And finish,
Reporting as needed.
what we
as
need
the
to
work-
accomplish,
as the work gets done,
for
yes,
them
sir.
to, release the,
To say that we have
say that we
fulfilled
have fulfilled.
the exemplar cohort and we no longer need oversight.
How long is that,
I'm sorry?
how long is the LSG program?
So for us, the order was 18 months, but we've had gaps in between. So it should be 18 months.
How many are left?
Months?
How many months do we have remaining?
Oh, we still have about 6 left. Mhm.
And to actually complete the entire LSG program, how long does it take?
For the one that we have to complete, 18 months.
Not for TEA, but, Ms. McAnally, my understanding of the LSG program, it's a training program, it's a
Correct.
guidance program, it's not just an oversight by TA, but it's, board training,
For us, it was part of a TA intervention, yes.
but if we would have voluntarily gotten
Oh, yes.
the LSG, they set up a program of trainings and, is that program typically a year, 2 years, 36 months? I don't know how long the program typically lasts to complete. And
They gave us 18 months, but we started with the new coach. And then, he was with us for about 3 months. And all of a sudden, I think he resigned from Region 20. So for about 3 months, we were not doing anything. And so, she was hard to complete whatever. So maybe if he would have stayed, we would have been out.
No, I understand that, but you say we have 6 months left requirement by TEA. But to actually finish the LSG program, how long do we have left?
Well, it depends on how long it takes us to fulfill the list of items that she had on her presentation.
And did she have it?
I think that we can, because we've done most of the work, the rest is just making sure that we keep up the cadence of meeting and keeping to the board procedures and making sure that we communicate with the community, making sure that we have those meetings. I think we should be done by the end of this year. We should be done before then,
By the end of the fiscal year,
the scholarly year, the academic year, yes.
And again, only on the things
And
that
only
we
as needed,
feel
yes.
that we need.
So like right now, we have a November, remember that we had a November presentation to the community, but we have to get her approved if we want to continue working with her as our oversight, or as our, what she would become a coach, a board of trustee coach. We have to get her approved first before we can move on to the next plan. So again, this is as needed. You know, I don't foresee that we're going to have, or that we are going to require significant interventions unless, obviously, the situation calls for it. But this is her menu, and this is what we're proposing to you all in terms of contracted services with Ms. McAnally.
And I think on the booklet, for Lone Star Governor, we're almost hitting all of the, we're almost completing,
In terms of the board self-assessment, yes, we're almost meeting.
what DA's requirements.
Correct.
Okay, your recommendation,
My recommendation is that the Board of Trustees approve the contract between Crystal City ISD and Linda McAnally for consulting services.
do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by, Mr. Mata, do I have a second?
second.
You have a motion, a second, all in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Next item, we're gonna go into closed session. Trustees will meet in closed session authorized by the Texas Code Chapter 551 and the Open Meetings Act. So at this time, the board at the time,
6:52.
6:52.